Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another live stream, another, what we learned, more in-depth review of a Chelsea game the day after. And I'm again joined by the man himself because you lot enjoyed his company last week. So I thought, bring the man back. It's the Grand Dam. It's Dami, mate. How you doing?
What are we saying? What are you man all saying? Man is back again. I told you, man. I saw the comments and you guys were like, I don't know. You guys were just running mad, didn't it? So man not have to pop back in. So what we're all saying, I'm gassed to be back.
Decent. Obviously, slightly, more positive vibes after last time around. I mean, 0-0 against Sevilla weren't bad, but we was like, what are we doing going forward? Then we had Man United, which obviously we didn't talk about, but it was kind of the same issue all over again. But now, last night, still some of those issues, but then at the end, 4-0 win. You can't really complain. 4 points out of the 6 possible, top of the Champions League group. Can't really moan all that much, in all honesty. Of course, everyone that's watching right now, everyone that will be watching at a later point, make sure you subscribe, make sure you drop a like, make sure you follow Dami on Twitter. Of course, his link is down in the description, or you can see just his @ on screen. And also follow me, why not? And I'm hitting my table for no reason. My @ is also on screen, or the link is also down in the description. But yeah, obviously there's a lot to talk about, as you can see from the title and the thumbnail. One thing we're going to talk about is the possible 4-3-3 system. One other thing we're going to talk about is maybe the penalty taker situation, especially Lampard talking about it in a post-match press conference, also in a pre-match press conference today. Still no idea why that was today, not tomorrow. Makes no sense to me, but fair enough. Here we are, I guess. Obviously, we started the game off, struggled a bit, didn't we? Like, what do you think of, let's just say, the first half, until we actually scored then? Let's just say until we scored in the first half.
Utterly shambolic. It was that score. For anyone that didn't watch the game, that scoreline is a poor reflection of how we actually played. Let's be real. I mean, obviously, I'm happy that we won the game. That's obviously a good thing. We scored 4 goals, which is also a good thing. The people that scored, really good thing as well. But that performance, if you look at 70 minutes of that performance, it was utterly shambolic. So let's just keep it like real and straightforward. Laurenz, what did you think?
No, I couldn't agree more. Like, we struggled a lot. With that, especially early on, like it was weird because in the end we had 72% of the ball.
Yeah.
But really, it felt like Krasnodar pressed us real hard. But they only pressed us real hard in the right moment. Like they were really tactically really good in their pressing, and it made us struggle. Obviously, we had Zuma switch sides for Rudiger, which I'm still not a fan of. I didn't necessarily mind that Rudiger plays. I just still think it's weird that one conversation out of nowhere he goes from 5th choice to 3rd choice in the back. Makes no sense to me. But also that him playing made Zuma switch positions. Don't understand that one, please. But, obviously that would make things more difficult. Even the guy that has played many games, he is in an unnatural position. We have a different double pivot that we're not necessarily used to, even though you'd think they're the ones that find it easier to pass out from the back. But then we had the similar problems where, okay, the front line aren't making the runs. Kai isn't possibly coming deep enough. And then, even Chilwell had a bit of an issue. Mendy already pulling off a great save after 3, 4, 5 minutes or whatever it was. Really good save. With Kepa and goal, we're probably 1-0 down already after 5 minutes. So brilliant. But yeah, we struggled a lot. I mean, after the, like I said, after the substitutions for the last 20, it was good. It was better. Obviously, it's impossible to tell. Was that down to Krasnodar, I don't know, giving up once we made it 2? Krasnodar, I don't know, getting a bit tired because they played a very high-intensity game up until that point. It's very difficult to tell. We'll only be able to tell, in a few games going forward. But there were still good signs late on, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we struggled earlier. And, well, let's just take it simply and start off with the penalty takers, because the kind of first big thing after Mendy's save was Jorginho's penalty. Clear pen, Werner taken down, clear pen. Right. Jorginho steps up, as he always does his little skip. I personally am a big fan of the skip. I think it's funny. Why not? And, there is a reason why he's had one of the best penalty records in world football, only behind probably Balotelli and someone like that, because I don't think Balotelli has ever missed a penalty in his career. But now he's without a club anyway, so that's, doesn't help you much, apparently. But, he steps up, does that skip, hits the inside of the left post. It bounces back into the middle, bounces onto the goalkeeper's arse, goalkeeper's back, whatever you want to call it. And it bounces back out. It's unfortunate. For me, obviously, some people said, why are you saying, it's unlucky for Jorginho, and why did you slate Barkley last year? 2 reasons. First of all, I didn't like Barkley. Secondly, second and main reason is I think it's different if you hit the bar or if you hit the post. Because hitting the bar, to me, is just a bit stupid because you put an unnecessary amount of power on that. Hitting the post is you try to be too precise to make sure the keeper can't save it. So the one is more unfortunate, the other is a bit more stupid, in my opinion. And then obviously we get the penalty in the second half. Still think it's a harsh pen, even if apparently by UEFA rules it was a correct decision. Obviously, Jorginho had been taken off by that point, and Werner steps up and just blasts the ball. It wasn't well taken at all, really. It was literally, half a yard next to where the goalkeeper was actually stood, but he just hit it so hard. But by the time the goalkeeper moved, the ball had already hit the net. So here we are now. Should we change the penalty taker? What are you saying, Dan?
When it comes to, so a lot of the argument, because I put out a tweet about this earlier on today, and I did say that a lot of people are putting a lot of disrespect on Jorginho's name when it comes to the penalty thing. So now, when you tell me that our striker should be taking penalties because he's winning a lot of them and he does have a decent record for scoring them in the past, that's respectable. We want him to build up his confidence. We want him to get a lot better. Basically to stat pad. That's what people want him to get the penalties for. Yeah. I do understand all of those things, but we also need to remember that when Lampard and Drogba were both at the club, and a lot of people made the mistake of saying I'm comparing Jorginho to Lampard. Lampard is eons above Jorginho, so I'm not comparing them. I'm comparing the situation. At Chelsea, we had the midfielder taking the penalties for the longest time. When Hazard was also here, he was also taking the penalties. It wasn't never the striker, even though we had Diego Costa, who was really, really good at taking penalties. What am I trying to say? I know Jorginho has missed his last two, or he's missed quite a few. Missed 2 penalties this season. Is it 2?
Yeah, 2. But he also scored 2 in the same game against Palace. So
exactly. So he's missed penalties, definitely. But I don't think we should start calling for Werner to take over, because at the end of the day, Jorginho's penalty success rate, he scored 23 out of 26 penalties, so that's 88%. That's a lot better than Timo Werner, was a lot better than Frank Lampard when he was a player, better than Drogba, and the only person that actually has a better penalty record, despite taking less penalties, is Kai Havertz. So Havertz has a 100% penalty record, so that's maybe something we could mention after I finish talking about Jorginho. But I just feel people are using this opportunity to knock the man down even further. A lot of people tell me that, okay, if Jorginho isn't taking, the one situation where I would like to have Werner take penalties over Jorginho is when he's not on the pitch. Do you understand? I'm not expecting Jorginho to play too consistently, because we'll talk about that moving forward with the 4-3-3 and everything. But I don't feel like we should outright just displace Jorginho because he's missed 2 and Werner has been winning penalties all this while. When Drogba was winning so many penalties because of his physicality in the box, Lampard was still the one that stood up to take them. So it doesn't make sense for us to yank out Jorginho because he's missed 2 penalties. And Lampard said in his presser correctly, when you take as many penalties as Jorginho has in recent times, you will miss some. Do you know what I mean? Hazard missed penalties, for God's sake. So remember when everybody was on their knees for this hop? Is it the hop, jump, and the skip, or something like the hop, skip, and the jump with Jorginho? When he done, everybody was like, "Oh, excellent technique," and everybody was harassing Fernandez for copying the exact same technique. It doesn't make too much sense to me. So I just feel like we shouldn't just outright yank Jorginho from that. But moving forward, I don't really see. We can't really tell with Lampard these days. And like I said, we'll talk about that later on. But as long as Jorginho is on that pitch, he should be, personally for me, the one that takes the penalties, even though I understand why people would want Werner to take them. So that's just my stance on the whole situation, personally.
I agree. We got actually a comment here. Also, a £4.99 donation. So appreciate that, Dano. But he said he actually thinks Havertz is our best penalty taker. But if we take them off Jorginho, he thinks Werner should take them, which I don't really understand. So you're saying Havertz is the best one, but if we take them off Jorginho, we should still give it to Werner. Don't really understand your point, but fair enough. And it kind of goes along with what you just said, Dami, really. And I kind of agree. The one thing that leads me to think maybe we should give them to someone other than Werner is because of some people, not just Chelsea fans. If you take the pen like Jorginho does and you miss, you look like much more of a mug than if you just take it normally and you miss. And looking like a mug isn't good for anyone's confidence. I think Jorginho is strong enough for this, but obviously we don't have fans in the ground at the moment anyways, and probably won't do for the foreseeable future with what's happening all over Europe. It's true, but that's Russia. It's a bit different. When we get back into that of people possibly being on his back for his weird run up, maybe there's consideration to be had. And people do make a point that Drogba didn't need to. Drogba scored plenty of goals anyway, and so will Werner. But let's be honest, the main reason why everyone on Twitter is saying give them to Werner, because they want to give it large to United fans, Arsenal fans, Spurs fans. Look at our striker, how many goals he scores. And at the end of the day, you understand that, because at the end of the season, BBC, Match of the Day, Sky, BT, whoever, they will say, oh, look at Timo Werner, he scored 27 goals in a Premier League season. They won't say, "Oh, 5 of those were penalties." They won't they won't just care. So
They don't give a damn, yeah.
it will look better. It would be great if he could win the top goal scorer as well. Would be good. But would I necessarily take it off Jorginho? See, if Werner blasted it into the top corner like Harry Kane does on every penalty, I would say maybe we should. But Werner literally just blasted it straight. If the goalkeeper literally just moves by half a yard, that's saved. And then we look like proper mugs having 2 different penalty takers miss the penalty. So in my opinion, Werner didn't take a pen. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the kind of pen I want every game. No, if you take it like Ronaldo, like Harry Kane, then we can talk. But and also the whole comparison. Sorry, let me just say one more thing, because Jorginho does this hop and skip. Okay, he does do that little jump, but Hazard did the same kind of technique just without the jump.
Exactly.
Stopped the run, waited for the keeper to move, and missed some. You know that day we won the league under Mourinho. He just headed in the rebound. Jorginho just wasn't lucky enough that the rebound came back to him. But essentially, Hazard missed penalties. Hazard missed a fair few, and not like loads and loads. Not what I'm saying at all, but go on.
I mean, like I said, like we're both exactly on the same page. I think what Dino also meant by his comment was, I think what we're trying to get at is like, yeah, Havertz has the best record because he does have the best. He's taking fewer penalties. I think half of what Jorginho has taken. I don't correct me in the comments as well. I just know that Jorginho, like Havertz conversion rate has been. Why is this echoing? Is it echoing on your end, Laurenz?
Nope.
Okay, maybe it's just me. All right. Okay, so basically, what Havertz conversion rate has been 100. Is it 100%?
I can hear it. If you've got earphones, chuck those in, and we're fine. If you've got anyone lying about.
All right. Let me. Oh, you man are messing up my afro. But we say no more.
So while he's doing that, I would just reply to a comment because someone said, "Wow, Laurenz, you're dumb." Cheers, mate. Trying to go with power is proven technique for penalties. Barkley's method was right. Barkley's method wasn't right. Otherwise, he wouldn't have missed, would he? And, he blasted it over the goal. That's always a bit stupid. And, if you think about, for example, Champions League final, the biggest penalty in our history, Drogba did everything but put power on that. He literally just rolled it into the corner. So ain't nobody waffling to me about, you need to go with power just because Ronaldo and Harry Kane do that. No. Jorginho has by far the best record for penalties of someone that has taken a lot of penalties. Havertz, I didn't actually know this stat. I know Werner either before the game had 10 scored out of 14 or including yesterday's had 10 scored out of 14, either which way. So it's not a bad stat, but it's not a brilliant stat either. So, I don't know. I think personally, I don't actually care that much whether we give it to Werner or give it to Jorginho. I'm not all that fussed. What I care about is that we score them. What I don't want is a discussion on the pitch again. That's why I don't want. Obviously, it was Tammy last time anyway that tried to step in. But I just don't want a discussion. Have it sorted before, and I'm pretty sure Frank will sort it out. The way, I'm not sure if you watched his press conference today, but the way he did speak, and also last night after the game, it sounded like to me that he will change it. Just because he said he has no problem with either of them, but he will have a discussion with them. And if he wouldn't change the penalty taker, why would he have a discussion with them? What will be the point? So I think he will change it. But it might be to do with what we're going to talk about next, a change of formation, which might see Jorginho not actually playing that much anymore. Because what happened last night in the 71st minute, we made a triple substitution as Kante and Mason Mount came on for Jorginho and Mateo Kovacic. And also Pulisic came on for Hudson-Odoi, but that's kind of irrelevant to this point here. Because we changed from a 4-2-3-1 formation with Jorginho and Kante as the double, Jorginho and Kovacic as the double pivot. We changed to a 4-3-3 with a single DM, a sole DM in N'Golo Kante, and then 2 kind of attacking 8s in front of him with Mason Mount as more of a box-to-box 8, and then Kai Havertz to the right-hand side of the midfield 3, I guess, as more of a free roamer with more attacking freedom and whatever else. So we changed the shape. We changed it to a shape that we saw already last season after the restart in a couple of games, which worked sometimes, maybe didn't work other times. And what I said at the time, obviously you might not know this, Dami, I said if Kante can improve being a lone DM, I think this could be a really, really good system. But now we haven't used it in about 3 months, 2 months. So I'm like, well, Kante can't possibly have been improved. So I'm a bit unsure whether I want us to use it, but actually I'd be happy to try it because for the last few weeks of this season, I've been saying actually maybe we should do 4-2-3-1, but mainly because I saw, Kai seems much more comfortable in a 10 than he certainly did out wide. And I was like, Lampard hasn't given me the chance yet to see how comfortable he is in an 8. But if I get the chance to see that, there is a chance I'd say, okay, he actually is equally as comfortable or even more comfortable. And I just want to get the best of players. And if Havertz is equally as comfortable or even more so, then in the 10, you play Mount in his best position or Kovacic, because you can play both depending on what is necessary. And you have Kante the deepest. And in an odd game or two, we change to 4-2-3-1 or play Jorginho as the deepest. I'm very happy with that. What would you say?
I mean, you know, the thing with this 4-3-3, because I remember when everybody spoke about it last season, and we were not really sure exactly what Lampard wants to do. You know, I'm going to try and give it like the benefit of the doubt, because I feel like at the end of the day, the way things are currently moving, we do need to get a DM that can do all of their jobs. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like Jorginho, Kovacic, and Kante are supposed to be one player, because they're all really good at specific things that we need that one DM to do. But putting all of them into the starting side limits like our midfield massively. We can't play
at least Jorginho and Kante together. If you had the Kovacic in there as well, then you'd have the best DM in the world.
Exactly. Exactly. And like the thing is, I think the reason why like Kante is probably the best suited to doing that, because he's the most mobile and he's better like defensively than the other two. That's the only reason why I'm even trying to give him a shot at DM. Like I keep telling people, Kante is not a DM. That is not what he does. He likes to move around and he doesn't have the discipline to stick to a position the same way sort of Mikel would do. I think personally, I don't know if other people would agree with me, Mikel would be excellent for what we're trying to do right now at the squad, because Mikel was really press resistant. He could pass off the ball really well, and he could win tackles. That's what Mikel used to do, and that's what Jorginho, Kante...
And he was also a bit taller than N'Golo, which helped.
Exactly. So he could win the ball in the middle of the park as well. So I feel like moving forward, as it seems, like I'd like to see Mount and Havertz moving forward as 8s. I mean, I know Mount is an 8. That's what Mount is supposed to do. Maybe like a 10 from time to time, but it's specifically an 8. I'd like to see Havertz play as an 8 as well, because like remember, this was just 20 minutes and we'll get on to the actual goals and everything, because I just feel like that was all due down to talent, if anything. And like Pulisic coming on and making a massive difference. I don't think people understand how impactful Pulisic was to scoring all those 3 goals we did, which we probably, I'm guessing we'll talk about that later on. But I mean, I'm curious to see, but my issue right now is that Lampard is a bit reactive with how he gets formations done. Big ups to him for getting them, for making the change that basically added a few more goals to the game. At the end of the day, like I said, the match was pretty dreadful for the most part, but him doing that was nice to see. It was basically nice to see. But am I really confident saying we're going to go into the next few games with 4-3-3? Because Lampard is kind of manager where we take this 4-3-3, okay, we go into the next four games, maybe we win the next 4 games on the bounce. Everybody's going to get excited, say it's the formation we have. We'll probably end up losing like what? I mean, I don't want this to happen, obviously. I'd like the squad to succeed at the end of the day, but the squad, assuming the squad ends up losing like what, 2-1 or 2-0, 3-0 or something like that, Lampard is going to change back to like a 3 at the back, or he's going to go back to a 4-2-3-1. I really don't know what angle he's trying to take at the thing, but like I keep saying, I feel Kante is probably the best we do have there, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it. However, a point that somebody brought up to me when I was having this discussion was that now we have an improved back line, okay? Because all these assessments I'm making are based off the games that we saw last season. So now that we have an improved backline and an improved keeper, which we definitely have to talk about later on, I'm willing to give it a shot, basically. So let's see how Havertz like operates in that 8 position, because as a 10, he's been playing quite well. I mean, he has had a few lapses in like performance recently, but I do think at the moment things are sort of flowing smoothly. So yeah, let's see how it goes. But bottom line, before I let you speak, is I don't think we should use the last 20 minutes of that Krasnodar game to say, oh, 4-3-3 is back in business, because at the end of the day, Mount coming on, bringing a lot of energy, which he did, was really helpful. But I feel like it was more of an individual performance that basically gave us those 3 extra goals at the end. So yeah, that's just my take on those situations personally.
I agree with you that the goals themselves were individual ones. Well, I mean, the second goal was it was a pen. But I agree, the goals were somewhat individual, although at the same time, I mean, they had multiple people involved. And also, they happened because we were stood much higher, which is much easier when you play 2 8s, because you can like push a bit further rather than when you have a double pivot, because you are 1 man short if you press. So it did help in that aspect. But I agree with you. It's not like, oh, now this is what we should do all the time. Why I'm saying this, and why I even thought of, putting this as part of the title, is after what Frank said again in today's press conference, like ahead of Burnley. Because he was asked about exactly this, about the 4-3-3, and he did say that last night answered a lot of questions that he had, which to me says he wasn't sure whether 4-3-3 works for this team, but he saw enough to at least try it, which I don't mind, because he's tried many things anyways. So why not keep trying a few things and at least try the other things? Because we didn't have preseason, and he made a good point. Usually we would have done like 3-4-3 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, and maybe 4-4-2 diamond or whatever, we would have done all those formations in pre-season, and Lampard would have picked his favourites in order from that and then gone with that into the season. Because we didn't have pre-season, we kind of have to do those test runs at times in games. And kind of maybe that's what the last 20 minutes yesterday were, meaning it's enough to trial it against Burnley and we see how it goes. But obviously it's football, so every opponent is different. So you also have to take into account, against some teams this might be good, against some teams that might be good. And Burnley is a really difficult one to judge because, you know, every formation can work against Burnley and every formation can fail against Burnley because it's Burnley and you never know what to get with Burnley. They could just annihilate you, but other times you could just smash them with Pulisic's hat trick. Okay, we conceded too late on to make it unnecessarily difficult, but that was just stupid defending. But really, we annihilated them last year away from home.
Yeah.
So it can work, but you know, I would have. So, like I said, I do realize that I sound a bit hypocritical. Over the summer, between the seasons, I guess, I always said I think our best formation is 4-3-3 with Havertz as an 8, with Mount or Kovacic. Well, I actually said Ruben, but he's not here anymore. So.
Same.
Pulisic on the left, Ziyech on the right, Werner up front. That's always what I said is probably our best formation. But then, like I said, I saw Kayas did 10 and I thought maybe that's just where he's better at and more comfortable at. So I said, okay, maybe we just need to find a way. But we just don't have a double pivot combination that works. None of them is actually that good.
All of our midfielder, like we need. I think if you told Lampard to get one DM that could do what he wants, he would get rid of all 3 of our midfielders, honestly speaking. Because I don't think Lampard actually has the midfield he does want. I mean, I think, because like that's why, the whole reason why I ever warmed up to Declan Rice in the first is because I was on the stream and I've been put on record saying stuff about Declan where I was like, yo, Declan is a bit too simple. He can't really do certain things properly. But at the end of the day, he does sort of what Lampard kind of wants at the very basic.
We want simple there, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. My point is one someone that can pick up the ball, do a few tackles, and like get stuff done. I mean, he does get spun. I mean, let's not get it wrong. He does get spun. Declan Rice has been spun by Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He has been spun by so many different people. And I mean, yeah, it's the level of composition. I haven't seen him play at the highest level. So throwing him into this midfield would be a bit, it's an experiment, but if it goes wrong, it would be bad. But at the end of the day, like you said, we don't really have that pivot. You know, like I've come on record saying that Jovic is my favorite pivot, and I still stand by that. Yesterday, they were absolutely shambolic, and they didn't do what I love them for. They were both shambolic. They were shambolic, absolutely shambolic. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, I've been put on record saying I like them both because they didn't do what I liked them for yesterday, which is kind of sad. But at the end of the day, I just feel like that's not even what Lampard wants to really do. Because, like, I mean, I have said that I don't know what Lampard's system is. I haven't seen what he's trying to do because he keeps on switching formations. But I think it's only fair for me to, like, let him. I mean, I know that last DMP, I underestimated how important it was until I keep seeing what we're trying to do with, like, the 2 DMs. Because Jorginho Kante, he sort of gets the job done. Okay, Jorginho Kante is decent. Jorginho and Kovacic is suicidal. I love how it looks like when they link up properly and they're in the element. And maybe I could give an excuse. And okay, no excuses is Krasnodar. I mean, you are Chelsea Football Club. We shouldn't really need to like have that. I mean, Jorginho and Kovacic haven't really played together that frequently. With Jorginho and Kante for the most part. But at the end of the day, I just feel like moving forward, I would like to. I don't know what I want to see in midfield. I just feel like all our midfielders are lacking right now. You know, it is. I think that's just what it is. So that's why it explains like Lampard wanting to move on Jorginho early on in the summer. Because remember when he was meant to move off, but Sarri obviously left Juventus and like Arsenal didn't want to get him and they ended up signing Thomas Partey, who we spoke about last time. So there are so many different factors involved. But yeah, definitely for me, like when it comes to the midfield discussion, 4-3-3 has always been my favorite formation. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. I've gone on record saying things like Mount and Havertz. I've said that so many times, and like because I obviously used to watch like a bit of German football, and I've known Kai Havertz for such a long time, and I know the kind of player he is, and like he's really quick on the ball, and he can do all those passes in between the lines, especially with his outside foot. That's the sort of player he is. But like moving forward, I just feel like try and Kante there. We don't really have too much to lose, and I'm more open to the idea. And I'm not saying Kante is designed for that position because I still strongly believe that Kante is not a single lone DM. He has never done that. And it's too late to change. Like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You know where I'm coming from? So people expecting him to convert and get all these things done is a bit, I wouldn't say, it's a bit too much. And like people are expecting him to play every game as well. Remember, this man keeps getting injured. Hopefully he doesn't get injured too much this season because we're definitely going to need him. But I just feel like moving forward, we just need to be more, like I said, once again, 4-3-3. Let's see how it goes. I don't know how Lampard is going to react when we lose games with that 4-3-3 and Kante, if he's going to be persistent with it, because it definitely works sometimes. But like I keep saying, Lampard is very reactive. So when stuff happens, that's when he tends to change it. So Yesterday's game was a good example of some good in-game management, but I want to see how it goes 3 games, 5 games, 7, 10 games. Let's see what he actually does moving forward. So, yeah, that's what I think. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, there's many ways to think about this, because I've said this many times. I want him to pick a formation, a system, and stick to that more often than not. Yeah. I'm not saying every single game, no matter who we play, no matter what the situation is. You have injuries, you have players in form, out of form. But a general system I would like to have as a main thing. But there are also pros to, okay, you play the system for 4, 5, 6 games, you get good at it. And I mean, you get success with it, you get good results, and then you lose one. And of course, there is always a debate to be had. Okay, you play the same way 4, 5, 6 games. The more times you play it, whoever you play, then later, have more time to analyze how you work in that system. So maybe that other teams figure out how to stop you in that system. So then you change it up again. So then people can't, really know how to stop you again. And there is, an idea to that. But what I was getting to is exactly what Simple, however he wants his name pronounced, put in the chat here. Ampadu is the answer. I'm not saying he's the solution to everything, but I don't understand why, if Declan Rice is what we were after and we didn't get him, the closest thing we have already, and in my opinion is very, very close, just better in some things, maybe slightly worse in other things, is Ethan Ampadu. So just to trial whether the idea of having Rice there even works, why on earth didn't we keep Ampadu around? I know he started the last game for Sheffield United, but he didn't even play all the other games yet. So I'm like, you should have just had him around, and I know Billy Gilmore's coming back. So we have 4 DMs again. But still, you should have just kept Ampadu around and tried it out. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I really, really don't like. And I do want to quickly mention this as well by Ben Stokes before I let you talk about what I just said. Ben Stokes said, "Do you see Chili's tweet, man? I still hate the fact our fan base threw abuse at him before he even joined." I completely agree. Of course, what Ben Chilwell put out is that at some points last season, he really struggled with his confidence, which had a negative effect on his mental health, not just within football, but also in his private life, which of course is depressing to hear, but obvious. I mean, these footballers are huge personalities on social media, especially now in modern day with social media. And, they get abuse thrown at them. They get criticism thrown at them. Sometimes they know they did bad. Sometimes they get abused even when they didn't do anything wrong. And it must be tough to take, especially though, I think the tough ones are when you criticize for something that is kind of right. And, obviously when he was struggling a bit more with performances, which he did at times for Leicester last season, and then he was criticised, I think that was a problem for him. I don't think what he was getting at was Chelsea fans abusing him before he actually joined. I don't think that was the part he was getting at. But yeah, first of all, shout out to him, fair play to him for even, opening up about that. I don't think it's an easy thing, and I think it's important for role models to do such a thing, because it's, especially for men, just mental health isn't like a seriously talked about. Exactly, it's taboo, and people are like, you gotta like stiff up a lip and whatever else. So I think it's very important that he steps up like that, exactly like Marcus Rashford does. Incredible. Whether he does well for Manchester United, it's weird because of the things that Marcus Rashford is doing. Even though it's for Manchester United, I'm actually happy he's scoring goals. It's really strange. And Reece James did something similar to Marcus Rashford, not quite to the same scale today as well, on social media announcing that. So I really like that. But kind of off topic, Ethan Ampadu, we should have just tried it, in my opinion. And TK13 put a good comment. Declan Rice is good, but not worth 80 million. Could not agree more with any statement.
That is spot on. Exactly. That is spot on. That's spot on. When you say, because that was my issue with Declan Rice. I said, he does all the things well, but 80 million pounds is a lot of money. And somebody's going to be like, oh, it's not your money. This is not your money. That's not that. I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? Point, yeah. That's not the point. Like, look at Kepa Arrizabalaga. Do you know what I'm saying? Look at how that turned out. At the end of the day, like, you want your club, like, it's not my money, yeah, but like, I don't need. Players actually do feel the effect of their transfer fees. A lot of people think it's on the like, oh, they don't really have that. Like, a lot of players do. It happened to Morata, happened to Torres, it's happening to Kepa. I'm not saying it's going to happen to Declan Rice, but I just feel like I don't even want to entertain that in the first, because first of all, personally, I don't think he's worth that much money. That is a lot of money to be paid for the kind of player he is, especially when you spent, is it 37 million on Ziyech? You spent how much on Havertz? You spent how much on Werner? And you go out and sign Declan Rice for that much? I know there's British tax and all of that, but I just feel like he's not worth that sort of money. Even though people feel like he's going to be at the club for a long time, and they mention amortization and all those extra economical things, I just feel like at the end of the day, that upfront cost is always going to be something that will stick in the back of people's heads. Your upfront cost doesn't matter if you perform, but once again, not to talk too much about Declan Rice, because I feel like once again he's a decent player that can become something really good in the future. But I just feel like with Ampadu, the only reason why I can understand Ampadu going out on loan, because if you've noticed, Lampard has really been playing a lot of youth recently. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, Gilmore has been out injured, definitely been out injured. Tomorrow was meant to go out on loan. Tomorrow said he was going to stay, but my guy is still not playing anything. Even like you got the likes of Rudiger and everything playing, and then tomorrow he's just out here rotting. You've got Tammy still on the bench making substitute appearances. Callum Hudson-Odoi came up with a good goal yesterday. Didn't really play too well. He wasn't like too energetic around, but I feel like that's might being rusty. I feel it was a bit rusty, but like obviously all these players aren't playing. So with Ampadu, I've always said that I love Ethan Ampadu and I want him to do. I was one of the people on Twitter that said, why are we going for Declan Rice when we have Ethan Ampadu? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because when he's free, they're basically the exact type of player in the sense that Ethan Ampadu can play as a centre-back and I can also play as a DM, because he's done it for, I think he did it at Leipzig once or twice, and he's also doing something like that similar to Sheffield. So, but my only complaint about Ethan is like, this is what happened to Billy Gilmore. Billy was playing quite well last season, but he didn't really have any official match fitness, and my guy got injured. Now, my guy is still out. I'm waiting for him to come back, and people are expecting us to throw him back into the starting 11. It's not really going to help their fitness too much. So I felt like Billy going to like another Premier League team where there's not a lot of pressure, there's not a lot of eyes on him. People are going to be watching him, obviously, but not a lot of eyes on him, not a lot of pressure. He gets to build up that match fitness at a smaller club. He comes back and he gets his thing done, because he's only 18, 19. He's not 20 yet. I'm sorry, no, I don't think he's 20 yet. I think it's 19, so. Yeah. Exactly. So I do get your point of saying we should throw him in right now. But I mean, with the way the squad is even moving, I don't feel like there would have even been a chance for him, because obviously you've got our player of the year from last season can't even get into the squad. Do you know what I'm saying? If Kovacic doesn't get into the squad, I don't think Ethan Ampadu was going to get into the squad anytime soon. So I just feel, that's why I keep telling people that when it comes to this Declan Rice discussion we keep bringing up, I'm going to analyze the situation with Ethan Ampadu next season. Not next season, at the end of this season, when we've both seen how the season progresses and see how they both play. If I see Ethan Ampadu doing the madness at Sheffield United, I do not want Declan Rice, short and simple. Not because I hate Declan Rice, but because I feel I already have that player in Ethan Ampadu.
Yeah, we don't need to spend huge money to sign a similar player. The only thing that I could understand is, the idea of have both, one as a DM, one as a centre-back. Fair enough then, if that's the idea. Do that. And, I see a lot of you guys putting very interesting stuff in the comments. Obviously, we can't get to everything because it's not just me. Yeah. We're here having a discussion about things.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, finishing off what we have to say. Mohammed just said, why isn't Laurenz talking to his live chat? Well, because Dami is talking. I can't exactly interrupt him now, can I?
Mohammed, I apologize. Sorry.
No. We don't do that over here. But Lamin just said, please click the like button. What he said, do that and subscribe. But yeah, a couple of things that I want to get through in the comments here. First of all, Mr. Not even going to try to pronounce that. He said, hey, Dami, if we need a DM, have you seen Zakaria? Brilliant player. Of course, you might know him. Not sure if you do, but of course he plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach in the German Bundesliga. He's a Swiss DM. He's a big man. He's a strong man. He's a decent player. He's quick. He can pass the ball. Maybe then he's a fair enough shout. There's always the thing, can you compare a DM from the Bundesliga to a DM in the Premier League? I don't know. But say credibilities or credentials, he's like levels, leagues beyond of the credentials that Declan Rice has playing for a bit of West Ham. Because the kind of football that West Ham play, being a very defensive team more often than not, is so very different to what Chelsea do. We basically have no idea how good it'd actually be for us. And even when he plays for England just sit back and try to hit on the counter under Gareth Southgate. So even that doesn't tell us anything. So it's a tough one. It's a really, really tough one, but I think we've spoken about that enough. We can't find an immediate solution right now. Anyway.
Before we move on, I've seen a comment from someone saying something about Bakayoko. Please behave yourself. Bakayoko
let me go back to it. Yeah. He said Bakayoko is better than Ampadu, please.
Bro, let's not do this. I mean, obviously he's played longer than like Ampadu and everything. We've seen more Bakayoko and he done some bits at AC Milan. This man played against some Irish people, and with no disrespect, there were actually some farmers, electricians, teachers on that pitch, and Bakayoko could not perform properly. I'm sorry, I'm not having that. Like, Bakayoko is done at Chelsea. Don't expect him back in the blue shirt ever again. Let's keep it moving.
All right, but to be fair, also England lost to Iceland, and there was some electricians and all sorts on the pitch. Even though Gary Cahill played and won the Champions League, so
Oh God!
Just play Christensen as a DM. How about no? How about we don't do that? But I do want to say touch on one thing, because let's get us back into the next topic, which is goalkeepers. because, again, simple, don't know how you like your name to pronounce, but he says, do you guys think we need a new backup goalkeeper for next season? First of all, no, because we have Petr Cech. Everything's great. But as a realistic answer, if we can find someone that actually signs Kepa from us, yes, because Caballero's getting a bit old, especially with literally not going to probably playing a single more minute of football this season unless someone gets injured. So, yes, we do need a new backup keeper. Who that may be, let's talk about that next summer, not right now, in my opinion. But I do want to focus on Edouard Mendy, however way you want to pronounce his name. I love that man. I honestly love that man so much. It's so good to have a goalkeeper that actually commands this box, that can catch a cross, that is strong, that has good positioning, that pulls off these saves that actually, well, at Man United, rescue us a point. Yesterday, rescue us a draw at the time, and then, that allows the team to go on and win the game comfortably in the end, because who knows what happens if we go 1-0 down after 4 or 5 minutes. The game is completely turned on its head. Yeah, maybe we still win the game. Possibly. Maybe we just get a draw. Possibly we get battered in Krasnodar. But that's what you have a good goalie for. And it sure seems like we have a good goalie now. I mean, Mendy has started 5 games, kept 4 clean sheets and just conceded 1 goal. That's, by the way, the same stat that Petr Cech had after his first 5 games for the club. Who also joined us from Stade Rennes, from, of course, France, from the Liga. And Edouard Mendy was actually the first goalkeeper for Chelsea to keep 2 clean sheets in his first 2 Premier League games at Chelsea since Petr Cech. So, the signs are looking good. And I'm not going to say it's the next Petr Cech, but I love him anyway. I don't know. I love the vibe. I don't know. He's better at passing than I actually thought he would be, which I'm very pleased about. Honestly, I'm just happy. I'm just happy about him. But, you rave about him. We all love him, I think.
Bro, I called him God's gift yesterday. You know that meme on Twitter with the church thing right now? I've called him God's gift because Edouard Mendy right now is something else. Honestly, like, genuinely for me, I feel like the improvement that was, like, I don't know, fam. It's something else. Edouard Mendy in goal. It's something else. Like, at the end of the day, for me, he's going to go down as one of our most underrated signings. I think he's probably the most underrated signing we have so far. I'm not going to get too ahead of myself because I want to analyze him at the end of the season and see what he's done. But for me personally, the fact that we got this guy for 22 million, when we signed him, I had no idea who he was. So massive props to Petr Cech for actually spotting this guy and putting him in. Because obviously you saw the pictures when he signed, was working with Cech and all of that. Excellent signing. My guy comes in and I thought he was, because to be honest with you, Chelsea fans would have taken any keeper that was not Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. Would have taken absolutely anybody that would have been a massive improvement over Kepa, because he used to concede 1 goal every 2 shots. Who does that? Like, you could put a casket there and you do better defending than that. But at the end of the day, like, for me, the fact that he has come in, outperformed Kepa, and he's doing so much better than we all expected. Because when I went on record saying that Edouard Mendy probably like his stopgap 1 season keeper, it's looking like I was very wrong. And I'm happy that I'm wrong about that, because we spent, what was it, 22 million? We didn't spend that much money on him, like, compared to how much we spent on Kepa.
So, although at this rate, how he's playing, we're probably going to have to pay all the bonuses and more, and happily so, because he's playing really well.
Exactly. So, like, for me, like, the way he's moving at the moment is just something else. And if he can keep up this form from now to the end of the season, he's going to save us quite a few points. That's something that we lacked massively last season. Kepa, I think Kepa, was it 12 points that Kepa gave up for us or something like that? We lost quite a few points of the keeper we had last season, but as things keep on moving, I'm just happy that we have him in goal. There's a lot more confidence, and you can see that the back line, and everybody's a lot more confident. Like, having a keeper that can actually save shots, catch crosses, command his six-yard box is something that boosts the defense's confidence massively. So for me, I'm just gassed that we have him, man. Like, it's going down as one of our best signings so far this season. Obviously, we've got Havertz playing well. Werner is getting up to speed. Ziyech is getting up to speed. We've got Chilwell playing excellently well as well. But for me right now, Edouard Mendy is something else. He's been the most influential upgrade we've had this season, hands down. I
agree. I couldn't agree more. And someone actually, I did say, let's talk about that next summer. But again, someone needs to just give me a crash course of how to pronounce Indian names, because I don't want to butcher all of them. So that would be handy. But that guy, appreciate the comment, said Sergio Romero as backup. Actually, good chat. I mean, the guy's 3rd choice goalkeeper at Man United right now. And he's arguably probably as good as David De Gea. So he's clearly all right with being a backup goalkeeper. So if his wage demands aren't outrageous, I don't think you can find that many better backup goalkeepers, in all honesty. Don't know what you think, but I think as a backup, if we find someone to buy Kepa from us, I'd be okay with Romero.
I don't know how we're going to get rid of Kepa, though. That's a discussion for that's going to be difficult. But once again, we've got Petr Cech. He's registered. So, I'm gassed.
Did you hear the comment from, who was it? Ross Turnbull.
What do you say?
Was it Ross Turnbull? I'm pretty sure he said that in training, until Mendy came in, Kepa Cech was actually the best performing goalkeeper in training.
I think I saw that
better than Caballero and Kepa, according to Turnbull. Obviously, we don't know how reliable his sources are, but that's bad. And I'm not even going to jump on Kepa and say, oh, Kepa is so awful. We've all done that plenty. Well, who I'm going to jump on is, who on earth sanctioned signing him for 80 bloody million euros? That's the problem here. Like, you can always, if Chelsea now turned up and signed me for 10 million, you're going to blame me for not being good at football? Yeah, I never claimed to be that great. Is Kepa going to say, no, I will refuse £200,000 or whatever he's on a week. I will stay in Bilbao because I want money here. No one's going to say that.
Exactly.
If you're offered it, you're going to take it. So not even going to put that much blame on Kepa, but whoever sanctioned that move, whoever scouted him and decided would take him over Areola, over whoever else.
I don't even think we really went out to scout it, because they were meant to. Remember that? So I can't forget the saga. Obviously, we came in, we had Courtois. Courtois was like, I need to leave the club. It was almost similar to her. I mean, that's disrespectful to Eden Hazard. But basically, Courtois said he wanted to move. He didn't come to training, nothing. It was so public. The club didn't sort out Alisson on time, and then Liverpool snapped him up, and then we were just left stranded. And obviously, the only keeper that we could actually find that could fit the passing, because obviously Sarri wanted a keeper that could pass out from the back, and the club just said, okay, you know what, this man is in goal, so let's get that sorted. You know what I mean? So it was a bit of a mess up.
I mean, but if we were going to sign a player that's good with his feet, we could have just signed Jan Sommer, because he's much better. Equally as good with his feet. They're also equally as short, but Jan Sommer actually saves things. And I mean, he plays in like the Bundesliga for Borussia Gladbach. They don't have, buyout clauses. We probably could have got him for half the money we paid for Kepa and would have been a lot better. I'm not saying, Sommer would have been like the best keeper in the world. Not at all, but would have been better and cheaper than Kepa, that's for sure. And I don't know why Mohammed's having here, but the man loves me, so I love you too. And yes, all support, all subscribe, help me reach 100k subs. I mean, it's going to be a while, but we can do big. Why not?
You man, sorry, boss. You man is so well. Now we need to up them likes. You understand? We need to up them likes. Let's hit 50 likes before the end of this thing. Max, minimum 50 likes. I need you to like. One of you just liked. I see you, man, moving. You need to like this post. Do you understand? Let's get on it.
Exactly. I mean, we have 64 people watching, but only 30-something odd likes. Why don't all of you just go down below and smash the like button? It doesn't cost you any money. It barely costs you any time, and we're just sat here waffling anywhere, and you're just listening. We don't look that interesting. You can look at the like button for a second. It's calm.
Exactly. We'll wait for you. Just 5 seconds. Somebody disliked. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Anyways.
You, sir. You're a prick.
Oh, my God. Yeah, there you go. They're like it. I love you guys. No. I'm going to come back because of you, man. You might fam, they're moving. Oh, no, I like this chat. But anyways, let's get back to the football discussions. My God.
Good. Someone said it wasn't Ross Turnbull, it was Mark Schwarzer. Yeah, okay, fair enough. One of the backup keepers from back in the day, same thing. Farag Musa said, what are your expectations for Kai Havertz this season? Well, I'm expecting him to be great. Now, in all honesty, I just, I'm expecting a really good player that will, in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, be even better than he is right now. What can I say what to expect from him? I'm not going to say, I expect 15 goals and 15 assists. That's silly. I just expect a player that will help link our attack and midfield, that will, get goals, that will get assists. And that would just be great to watch and just be good to have in the squad, really. There's not that much more to say to it, really.
I mean, the thing with Kai Havertz is because the thing is, I was so familiar because I used to the reason why football for me. I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan at heart. I've been a Chelsea fan for 20 years, but I loved watching when I was less busy, when I didn't have a job, when I was at uni, when I didn't have a lot of these new responsibilities in my life. I used to watch a lot more football. And Kai Havertz is such an interesting player in the sense that we need to remember that he's very young. Okay, he has the potential to be one of the best players the planet has ever seen. And when I mentioned that to people, just need to look at his stats. His stats at this age is better than what Ronaldo and Messi had. That's all I've got to say. And that is a very, very, very impressive statistic to have at this age, okay, compared to likes of Messi and Ronaldo. I'm not saying they're the same kind of player, but what am I trying to get at? When they said Kai Havertz was coming to the Premier League, I felt like people were expecting this very impactful sign. Obviously, he started off with some good numbers. I think his 6 goal contributions in 8 games since he got to Chelsea, which is good. That's a good statistic, but I'm not saying that everybody, like, I wasn't really expecting him to be the most impactful from the get-go. If anybody was going to be the most impactful, I was expecting it to be Hakim Ziyech, who has obviously been injured recently, but with King Kai, King Kai, fam, I love that. I love that thing, King Kai, but at the end of the day, I'm expecting, if you think you're seeing a lot from him right now, just wait till the second half of the season or next season. He's going to be much better because when Kai is playing at his prime and then he's got synergy with all the players, because at the moment the synergy is only really there with Werner. I mean, he's starting to build something with Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic, but when you've got everybody in full flow, you've got like maybe your 2 attacking eights and all of that, it's going to be something else. So if you think Havertz is good now, you just need to give it a bit more time and then you're going to see an absolute madness. Absolute madness.
Yeah. Someone just put an interesting comment. Maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't. How about this, like 2006 Kaká and 2010 Ozil? Not the Ozil one. Ozil was a brilliant player, but Ozil never knew how to score goals. Okay, he was at Madrid, but Madrid was just so good, everyone would score goals.
The thing with Ozil, I only see the comparisons. I see these Ozil comparisons because of the nonchalance on the ball. That's the only reason. But the thing is, exactly, both being German and both being like AM/CAMs and everything. But I know the difference is I liken him to sort of like a Dimitar Berbatov, who was extremely effective despite looking very lazy.
Yeah.
Exactly, because he had this lazy vibe, and that's why a lot of people say Kai Havertz is lazy. I don't understand why people say. I mean, I understand why they would see him. He looks lazy, but that guy, catch him if you can. Honest to God, catch him if you can, because he's extremely fast, extremely clinical. When he passes the ball, especially on his outside foot, you guys, I think he's done it once or twice this season. But if you see him, like, just watch some of the games in the Bundesliga and like his runs and everything that he makes, he's a phenomenal player. He's not above criticism because sometimes he does try to do a bit too much, and we've seen that when I think he dribbled the ball. I think it was in our last game or the game before that. He dribbled the ball and then
yesterday and once against Sevilla as well. And I've noticed series going on. I don't know what it's doing, but
But at the end of the day, like, if you just look at him, like, he's a really good player. But once again, don't expect it to happen. But so when Ozil, he has the nonchalance of Ozil, but I think he's a much better player than Ozil. Like, has better end product. Ozil is one of the best passers of the ball we've ever seen. Let's be frank. Yeah. I mean, maybe not. Let me not put Fabregas in the same sentence, but he was really good at what he does. But Havertz does that and more. So that's my take. That's what I think. But yeah, Kaká, that's a good shout.
Kaká, like, honestly, because Kaká looks so elegant. Kaká was quick as well. Honestly, I love Kaká. Obviously, Kaká, Ronaldinho, that was kind of like the era when probably you and I both were growing up. Like, they were just beautiful to watch, honestly. And from one new attacking mid, I guess, signing to another, the wizard himself has arrived. The wizard himself has arrived and finally made his first start yesterday, which I was very, very pleased about. I thought he was our man of the match if you look at the whole performance. I thought it was brilliant. Honestly, I thought it was brilliant. Obviously, there's much more to come from him with other people knowing what kind of passes he can play, making those runs that he can actually go and find them. But his confidence on the ball, his work rate, he won the ball back, I think, 7 times, more than any other player on the pitch, which I was very pleased about. So we know that he doesn't maybe have it every single game, but that was it for Ajax in the Eredivisie, where he knows he's one of the best, if not the best player. So maybe he wasn't always like, full motivation. Maybe it's different in the Prem. But especially in the Champions League runs, whether it was last season or the season before when they had obviously the semi-final run, the man does not stop running. I remember especially the semi-final, was it against Spurs or was it even a quarters against Madrid, when obviously they were doing Ramadan. And the guy could only have his first drink and food of the day at the 70th minute of the game. And the man had already been sprinting out 10 kilometers up until that. I'm like, you man are a machine. It's as simple as that. You man are a machine, and I love that. Obviously, he's not a big guy. He's not doesn't look like the strongest guy, but maybe he's got, I don't know, some North African powers. I don't know. Some cool shit. I don't know. Oh, I love that man. They always got some cool shit going on, really. So, honestly, I was pleased with him. I was very, very pleased with him. Got a goal in the end. Was involved in the first goal, which was a really good. Which I don't see enough from us. We always pass it slow, but he drilled that ball into Havertz, and Havertz controlled it. Put it around the corner and gave it to Hudson-Odoi. Obviously, the keeper helped us in the end. But that drilled pass, you can't intercept those. Peter Crouch, I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever listened to his podcast. He went through the story when he arrived at Liverpool. What Steven Gerrard did when new players arrived, he just absolutely drilled the pass into them. If you were capable of actually controlling it, you was all right. If you couldn't, he was basically why do we sign him? And literally those kind of passes, Kai Havertz can control those. Timo Werner can control those. Even Pulisic and players around him can't control them. But we need to drill those passes, because when you drill them, it's much more difficult to, first of all, get on the recipient of the ball, because, you know, you don't see it coming as the defender. It's much more difficult to intercept the pass. And also it gives you less time to even block the pass, because, you know, it's not as, I don't know, you don't have as much time to close the guy to pass it down. So that's the kind of thing I want to see. And I'm just happy to see him. And I hope he's capable to start again, fit enough to start again on Saturday. Honestly, I'm buzzing for it.
You know, the thing about I'm just resharing this episode. Basically, the thing about Hakim Ziyech, and I've said this, I've gone on record saying this quite a few times as well. A lot of people don't see, like, for me, I said he was going to be the most impactful signing we've had, because he's the biggest change we've had on the right wing in the last decade. Okay,
sure, yeah.
And to me personally, the word B-Tech, we use it a lot to insult players, or like not insult, but like to just say a lesser of a specific version. But he kind of like he's almost like the Fabregas on the wings. That's exactly what Ziyech is. His passing is not at the same level as Cesc Fabregas, because Cesc Fabregas is basically a footballing god when it comes to passing. I don't think there are too many players ever in the history of the game that could pass as well as him. But the way Ziyech switches up the play without having to go around, because, you know, obviously sometimes when we try to switch up play and switch the play and like switch the wings and everything, we go through like the midfield and it just goes around and the opposition just moves with that. But one thing you can't really counter is when mid-transition and then you've got someone like Ziyech on the right wing who can immediately send it to the left wing, and then you just absolutely pull the opposition apart with those passes. The thing about Ziyech is that he requires a lot of tries most of the time to get things to pull off. But when they get pulled off, like that pass he did to Havertz, who then passed it on to Hudson-Odoi, when those things will pull off, it's absolutely beautiful to see. And that's why I keep saying, I feel like I went on record saying that I feel he was going to be the most impactful signing this season, simply because the dynamic on the right side has changed completely. You've got someone that can take shots from 30 yards. You got someone that can... Remember that pass that got put into a GIF that he just...
The Ajax one. And he basically did the same one to Hudson-Odoi yesterday, yeah.
Exactly. So, like, when you've got someone that can do that on the right wing, he's also really good at pressing. Person knows how to... Obviously, passing is like his thing. He can run, and then he can also press really hard, and he can score goals too. It changes the dynamic completely. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel like he's going to have the most impact simply because of the type of player it is. And you can't really shut that sort of player down, because he's got relatively quick feet as well. He's got a bit of techers in him as well, but he's not like your pacey Callum Hudson-Odoi, but he does put in the work. And that's why I feel like moving forward this season, we're going to see a lot more of him. I mean, this was his first official start for Chelsea, I think. Was his first official start. So let's just see him against Burnley, and he's absolutely going to shred low blocks. Just watch. Because you know one thing about low blocks is that if they want to defend properly, they move with the ball. So if you've got the ball on one side, they're like trying to shimmy, because they don't just keep like one solid block just staying there. So when you've got someone like Ziyech, you can immediately switch the play, and you've got like a Pulisic who we need to talk about on the other side as well. It's a wrap, fam. It's a wrap. So I'd want to see him start against Burnley this weekend, personally.
For sure. And you just said that. Let's talk about Christian Pulisic. Also, we're nearly going to go in an hour again, which is just what me and Dami do, apparently. But we've got over 100 people watching now, which is pretty brilliant. So all of you, if any one of you is new, subscribe and drop a like. I mean, the last one worked, so let's do that again. We've got 60 likes already. How about we get to 80 likes? I mean, there's 100 people watching. Not even all of you have to click that like button, and we get to 80. So all of you, go down below. We'll give you another second, because Dami and I will think about what we want to say about Pulisic. But we'll give you another second. Smash that like button. We appreciate it a lot.
I've seen the 5 of you that just liked in it. I see the thing that went up. It's going up. I'm seeing you, man. You, man, almost there. 67. Yeah. Keep on moving. Keep it moving. I see you, man. Oh, someone said they laughed hard when Dami said he can run. They remember Jorginho. Oh, the thing about Jorginho is, before we even talk about this man, is Jorginho, man, it's such a pain, because that guy cannot run to save his life. Genuinely, honestly, it's so bad.
I think it's funny, to be honest. But people have a go at him. He's no slower than Fabregas was, and we still love Fabregas. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just because
Fabregas wasn't so slim.
Yeah.
With a bit more of a, let's say, normal human build, right? He looks weird. He just looks slow, but Jorginho looks like, I don't know, a bit of a turtle or something.
I mean, everybody just says he's built like a toothpick, which is, I'm like, okay, fair enough. Okay, if that's what we're going to say, then let's keep it moving. But and for everybody asking, I do not have a YouTube channel. I don't have a YouTube channel.
He's my personal asset now.
You see me a lot. So that's, if you want to see me, hit that subscribe button. You see me, I'm not going to be here a lot more often, so just subscribe, and you see me again. So that's
if that dude compared him to Pulisic, it would have led me onto it. It would have been a lovely transition. But he said Rashford is better than Werner. What's your opinion? Well, no, he isn't. but I love Rashford anyway. And we can't say Rashford these days. You just can't do that. But let's talk about Christian Pulisic, because of course he came on yesterday. He struggled a little bit so far this season. Had good moments, don't get me wrong, but since he came back from injury, he's not looked quite as sharp as he has at the end of last season. But yesterday was different. He came on and gave us something different. He gave us, well, his shot that was handballed led to the penalty, which obviously led to the 2-0 by Werner. He was instrumental in, well, I guess, building up the goal for Hakim Ziyech, and then he scored the last goal himself, even though, again, kind of helped by the goalkeeper. You can't be more influential. You can't come onto the pitch and be involved into, in all three following goals. You can't do more than that. And it's pretty brilliant. And someone said, because he plays on the right, that is true. Two things I have to say to that. First of all, he has to improve his play on the right, because it's not an excuse. If you're a proper world-class player, switching sides as a winger shouldn't mean you're not good anymore. It's not how it works. If you put Hudson on the right, it's not out of nowhere shit. So, you get me? And on the left, he was good for 15 minutes. But then when Ziyech came on in that game against Southampton, Pulisic was also on the left, and I didn't see him anymore. So, yes, also because he was on the right, but also he didn't look quite as sharp. But yesterday he did. What are you saying, mate?
I mean, Pulisic, man. This man, obviously the game. That's why I kept on saying for anyone that's just joining at the beginning of the episode, that was like individual brilliance. This one and changed the whole thing, the entire thing. He came on, won the penalty, got the assist, scored the goal. Not too many players come on and do that. He basically changed the entire scoreline. That is shocking. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I feel like he's not been 100% consistent, and sometimes he's a bit frail. But that sort of player, that's why I kept on telling people last season. Oh, I can hear that siren. Yeah, so I could hear that background. I could hear the siren in the background. So
I live close to the hospital. It happens sometimes.
Say no more. But for me, I just feel like Pulisic, the way he plays and everything. He was one of I last season I said the only person who actually warranted starting, despite us signing all these new players, is Christian Pulisic, because he brings so much to the table, and the synergy he's going to have between himself, Werner, Havertz, Ziyech, Mount, and all the people that are going to play is going to be second to none, because he genuinely is the only player that we did have before we signed all these people that I felt could compete on the same level and possibly surpass them. Because you had your Havertz you had all these men on the pitch, but who came on and made the difference? Was Christian Pulisic. Short and simple. Definitely, maybe Kante and Mount coming on also helped a bit as well with the energy and putting them under pressure. But Pulisic came on and made a massive difference, and that's something that not a lot of people can do. So this man moving forward is going to be extremely critical. I said it in the tweet recently, but man, Pulisic is something else, man. He's absolutely something else. And I love the fact that we got him. We got him for more. He's proven to us that he wasn't just signed to get American jerseys. He's doing so much more.
He's just doing both, which, the club is definitely happy about. But no, honestly, it's just looking good. I can't wait for the day, and I hope it comes sooner rather than later, where things just properly click, but not for 20 minutes, not just for one game, for many games, for weeks, for months in a row, and we just annihilate people with Pulisic, with Werner, with Havertz, with Ziyech on the right. Even better Ziyech, in my opinion, when Reece James plays at right back, because Reece James with the overlap, Hakim Ziyech can cut in onto his left foot. Reece James bombing down, crossing from the right. Honestly, I can't wait for it. Whether it's then with a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 and 2 attacking eights, I don't really care. As long as we annihilate people, I don't care. Even if we play that, 10-1, 9-1-1, I still don't care. If we want to call the helpline, we just give it to the opponent after we finish them 10-0. Be bloody brilliant. Well, I don't really care. Just be good, and I'm excited for it. Honestly, I'm just really, really excited for it. But we've been going for an hour, pretty much. 58 minutes. Dami, if you got one thing left to say before we sign off here?
I mean, one thing I just need to really address on your channel, because I keep addressing you, okay? I have this comment. I'm just trying to find it, sorry. Apologies. What did you, who said
Can you highlight them if you're a guest? I don't even know.
Pardon?
No, I don't highlight a comment. I know you're on the YouTube. You're not on the stream yet.
Yeah. But there's a comment that says something about why don't we play Kante and Kovacic, and what's the issue with having them as a pivot? I've said this last time. I don't know if I said this last time on here. But the thing with Kante and Kovacic, they cannot be a pivot. You know what I'm saying? So when you say explain what's wrong with it, what I mean by what's wrong with it, what's the definition of a pivot? A pivot is when you have something. One thing for a pivot to work, okay, in physics, in football, in the dictionary, everywhere. one thing needs to stay and one thing needs to move. Okay, maybe you could come in. I'm not saying Lampard is beyond it. Maybe you could come up with a tactical masterclass and have 2 players sitting that can move and it works well. I don't know how that would ever work because that just leaves your backline exposed. But Kante and Kovacic like to drive forward. Kante likes to drive forward and win tackles. That's what makes Kante Kante. And what makes Kovacic is the fact that he picks up the ball and drives forward with it. He's a ball progressor. So that's why Lampard is persistent with his use of Jorginho. And that's why I don't feel Kante can really play that DM position correctly. Because these are the players that move well. I'm not saying Kante is inept because I do feel Kante is a world-class player. He still is. But at the end of the day, I just feel like playing Kovacic and Kante isn't much better than playing Jorginho and Kante. Jorginho and Kovacic, because at the end of the day, I know that sounds a lot odd. It's going to sound odd to some people, and they're not going to agree with that because they're not the biggest fans of Jorginho. But like I keep saying, Kovacic and Kante is just going to leave your backline exposed and just going to have defenders running all over the place. Yeah. So, like I said, Kovacic is like...
If you had a backline like Bayern Munich, for example, who play extremely high line, but they play a former left-back in David Alaba at centre-back, who's got the pace, who's got who's the commander there, and whether you have him next to Sule or whoever else, they have those aggressive centre backs. But our centre backs don't have that pace and that ability and that agility to actually be that aggressive. We had it sometimes when Luiz and Christensen played, when it was under Sarri. We had that where they pushed up so close to the DMs, but then you could play a Kovacic and a Kante. But with a Zuma, with a Thiago Silva, with those players in there, or with Rudiger, who just misses those tackles all the time, you can't do that because there is this gap, and we will always have this gap until we get, I don't know, a centre-back partnership like Sule and Alaba. You're always going to have those problems, especially when your fullbacks are really attacking. If we had defensive fullback, we could do that more comfortably because then the centre-backs could push up because we would still have, the security of having a line of 3 or even 4. But because we only really have a line of 2 protecting, we can't afford to push high, meaning there's a huge gap, like you just said. And, some people will agree with this, some people disagree with this. But, at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their opinion, I guess. Yeah. And did you say the word synergy a lot today? Because Simple's saying he's going to say that word all the time now. Did you?
Possibly. I mean, synergy, I think I have. Because it's one of those words that I don't know. Like, people say on YouTube that I use listen a lot. I use synergy a lot. But at the end of the day, I don't know. But maybe possibly. That's a word in my vocabulary. That's for sure. So
I'm going to finish the stream off here with saying to Fatutu, the U-man waffle, maybe you should actually do some research in what people do with the amount of interceptions Jorginho has, with the amount of successful tackles he has, with the amount of long balls he has, successful. So a lot of waffle. But, a lot of waffle is what we did today because we've been speaking for 1 hour and 2 minutes. So, I think we should leave it here. Thank you, Dami, for coming on again. Maybe we'll do it as a weekly thing. Maybe we'll do it as a 2-weekly thing because we're not available every day, are we? So, we'll definitely keep doing this because I enjoy it. You people seem to enjoy it. We've got over 100 people watching. Maybe what I should be doing is we just start this stream, sit here for 45 minutes, do nothing, because that's when we get 100 people and then we talk for an hour. Maybe that's what we should be doing.
You guys, 100 likes, please, before I leave.
100 likes. Is that what we're going for? We're only 13 away. There's 111 people watching. We're only 13 likes away from 100 likes. So if every one of you, well, I say everyone, most of you probably have liked it already, but those are the ones that haven't, go down below, smash the like button while I do my outro, my sign off here. I think that'd be a good idea. But yeah, I really do appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in, whether it was live right now. We love that. Love that. Big dub. Especially as we only have 102 people watching anymore. So love all of you. Appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in. Appreciate every single one of you that will watch this later on as a video. Even though I'm not sure if there will be a single person that will watch this later on and actually get to 1 hour, 3 minutes. But if you do, fair play to you. I love you. But all of you guys, honestly, subscribe, for more content. I will do in-depth analysis of every single game the day after every game. And, when nothing else is happening, I will certainly talk about other things, but can't really tell you about what yet because it depends on what kind of news come out. But thank you guys for watching. Really do appreciate it. Dami, one last word or 2 words.
I mean, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I mean, comments. You guys always give me love. Appreciate it. Love you all. Thank you so much. And Laurenz, like I said, subscribe to my brother. You understand? The red button is down there. You need to subscribe. You guys have smashed the likes. Let's do some things as well. And obviously, you see the team. How do I get that? Yeah, the Grand Dam. You see that? If you want more of this and you want some more clownery and some stuff and that and some opinions, obviously, you know where to follow me.
Yeah. If you follow him, you get opinions and comedy. What more do you want?
Clown. We move.
Exactly. No. follow him. His link is also down in the description if you are too silly or too lazy to type in the name that you can see on screen right now. As well as my Twitter and Instagram links if you want to follow me down. Appreciate that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.